coils sound like Strats because we have this cool little push-pull knob? And the answer is no, it doesn't sound like a Strat.
No, that was one of the more surprising things about the guitar was we were talking at the very beginning, do we want to replace the pickups, you know?
Yeah.
Do we want to change it out immediately? And I think that the most surprising part of this guitar, other than some of the other features, you know, the most surprising part about the pickups is that the single coil sounds so good. It doesn't sound like a Strat single coil, or you know, it has its own tonality.
Yeah, it does, and it sounds like George on the records too, which especially what he's been playing lately. But it doesn't have, you know, necessarily what George is playing, right? It doesn't have the arcane pickup.
The guitar at the NAMM show, I think, was a rail single coil rail pickup. I thought it had rails.
Oh, is that what? Yeah, because I sent you the video.
Yeah.
Well, I never took note of the single coil. I was more excited about what was going on in the bridge, which was one of those arcane pickups, which George partners with some other dude out in the desert.
Yeah, his Mr. Scary pickup, right? Yeah, for sure. So and
it was very cool, but you know, this is a different pickup, right? This is a distortion, Seymour Duncan distortion.
Yeah, it sounds great, dude. But you know, would you say that, you know, now that this is your second time playing this guitar, you've heard me play it a lot, but now you get to play it again. Would you say that this is like a novelty guitar? Would it not add anything to someone's existing collection, or do you think it has its own unique features that people would like?
No, it definitely has merit outside of looking the way that it does. Because, I mean, look at this thing. It's definitely going to stand out. It's a much bigger guitar than...
What do you mean by bigger? Like, what's bigger about it?
I literally mean if we were to take out a measuring tape and start it here and continue and go across body, that we'd end up with a greater number than if we were to do the same thing to like a charvel body or any other Strat style guitar.
What about the neck size? Is the neck any bigger too?
Oh yeah. So we got, I would say like an extra eighth on there. Would you say more than that?
And I know you're holding it up for the camera and stuff, but what about just the amount of extra neck up by the locking nuts? I mean, like, you feel all that extra material.
Oh yeah, dude, that is kind of crazy. But I would say that that's because you can feel it kind of tapers from being such a thin neck and having such a shallow gap to it, right? Like in comparison to like a lot of the guitars to my right, they have a lot more depth, a lot more of a traditional like clapped in C neck, and this is a very slim neck, which, you know, a lot of faster players dig for. Somehow that makes it easier to play faster. But like it transitions, it tapers off into like a more voluptuous neck. And like personally, I would prefer something like this throughout. But, you know,
now, when the description of the guitar talked about its flat neck, would you say it's as flat as like an Ibanez, or would you say it still has its own kind of distinctness from some of those notoriously flat Ibanez necks?
This is somewhere right between an Ibanez Wizard neck and a Stratocaster.
Yeah.
The Stratocaster being a little bit bigger than this, and the Ibanez being a little bit thinner than this still. Yeah. But yeah, it is. It doesn't bother me because it is still thick. Like it is still wide, you know. So like the Ibanez thing kind of
the width makes it feel flatter in a way.
Well, it makes it feel more with my hands at least. But I got pretty big paws. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So. We probably got the same size hand or so, but.
So, what about, you know, as a person who has, I think a majority of your guitars have Floyd Roses on them.
Yeah.
You know, this one has a Floyd Rose SE, stainless steel, hardware screws, that type of thing. Do you feel like the Floyd Rose hardware that it has stands out to you at all, other than, of course, you know, being black and, you know, not the traditional kind of chrome color? How do you feel about the playability of the hardware?
Well, I mean, both times that I've gotten to play it, and all the times that I've taught you a thing or two about the guitar, it's been in tune. Have you tuned it much since having it? Well, then yeah, it stands up because you've had it for like a couple months now, or like how long?
Yeah, I think like a month and a half.
Yeah,
going on 2 months.
Month and a half without tuning it. Different climates.
Yeah.
It's hot AF in my apartment right now, and then yeah. A lot, different atmospheric pressure in your neck of the woods.
Where's the barometer? I don't see it. You must have moved it.
So yeah, being able to cruise around different temperatures and then still stay solid. I mean, like that's big for tuning stability. And really, when it comes to the Floyd Rose, that's all it is. Because one's gonna sound just as good as the next one until you put the brass blocks in there, what have you. But like that's all you're really looking for from a Floyd Rose, is that you can and come back to A440, you know.
Sure.
Yeah.
So tuning stability's there. That's awesome, man. One other thing that I think you talked to me about a lot when considering guitars was down by the where the neck bolts onto the body. How would you feel the guitar is shaped at that end? Is it sharp? Is it uncomfortable? Or does it have like a really good contour to it?
Well, I was hitting this run earlier. And it didn't give me any trouble at all. It actually, it's almost as if they kind of took some of this extra surface area in the body and chose to move the guitar, the scale length upwards. Because what I feel is that the neck actually jets out a little bit, versus like some of the guitars you almost have to reach up into the body and try to get at the 22nd fret like over here. But I don't feel that, you know. So I do feel that there's a little bit of extra give. Even if I wanted to play the E string, and then I experience a little bit more of what I was talking about.
Yeah.
But it's not as bad.
Now, Luke, we're wrapping this up, but what do I keep saying about the frets? What do I keep saying about the frets and the neck? As a person who's not on your level, but obviously aspiring to get there.
Thanks, man.
What have I always said about the frets from literally minute one?
Dude, minute one, you were telling me how these frets are made of glass, and that the bendability is so smooth and insane, and that perhaps the flat neck has something to do with that. But I've been having you, as my coaching client, play many bends in order to get the breaking the chain solo down, and reiterating to bend further or not quite as far, and so I know that you've been you've been putting the hours in, because the solo that you just showed me was crazy, you know, in comparison to how far you've come on it. So that makes me think that you've been putting in lots of hours, forcing a lot of energy into these frets, wow, which wouldn't normally on a lot of guitars. Saw them down, put like little divots in there, and yeah, I don't really see any blemishes, dude. I don't see any flat spots at all. But
well, it just still feels the same way as when I got it, and it's the only guitar that I own that has stainless steel frets, and I think it has to do with the flatness of the neck too. Why I feel like it just glides over the strings glide over the frets. But yeah, that's probably been like, you know, out of the things that you've said, my favorite thing has been the feel of the frets. Like it's
dude, right on,
it's
man.
crazy. It could just be a higher quality guitar feel. You know, maybe my guitars have never been this nice, but I know that you've played some custom shop Jacksons. You've played some pretty rare guitars out there. You know, if you were to say that there's one thing that this guitar is lacking or the other guitars might do better, is there anything that you feel, you know, just in the playability or anything, there's something that you know, leaves you a little wanting? Is there anything?
Well, dude, I mean, it does have a nice little low string action setup, which is cool. And then when you have that, sometimes it's hard to still get the brightness. But this is one of the brighter guitars that I've played. As far as comparing them to Jacksons or guitars that are really sought after, usually those are kind of beat up guitars, and there is something nice about playing a nice fresh guitar right off the factory like this. You know, it's kind of tough to beat, but then there's something about having like a well worn in pair of jeans, so to say, that's like the Les Paul that, you know, every dude seems to have this Les Paul they've held on to for like 20 years or something, you know, and then that's their baby. That's cool too, and that's what I would liken those valuable guitars to. But like,
so for the factory fresh category,
yeah,
this hits all the bases. This hits all the marks.
It's there, man. Yeah, and its competition would be the stuff that Jackson is putting out, the stuff that Charvel is putting out, the stuff that Fender's putting out, even the Mexican models as well. You know, like all that stuff is really clean, really sparkly, and sounds good acoustically right off the shelf, and this sits in there with it, you know. So to me, it's like it's another workhorse guitar, but absolutely it would hit all the standards you would want, you know, except for the fact that it doesn't have a neck pickup. But you know, to each their own.
All right, man. Well, thanks, Luke. How about you leave us with another final song and
an F sharp minor 6 arpeggio.
You know.
Yeah.